response to the member for Blaydon on February 22nd, the Secretary of State claimed the Scottish Government had not asked for an exemption from the Internal Market Act for the Scottish Deposit Return Scheme. The Scottish Government have since published the timeline to show this is incorrect and that their proposal has been under detailed discussion within the Resources and Waste Common Framework since last October, with their final detailed case for exclusion presented February the 13th. Now, in light of this, will he correct the record and apologise for inadvertently misleading Parliament?
Secretary of State.
Well, this is a very important point, Madam Deputy Speaker, and it's had a lot of airtime in the media in Scotland. And I will say to the Honourable Lady that the official request, officials, that civil servants, spoke to each other over a period of time, but the official request to ministers came in the meeting, the interministerial government meeting, which my honourable friend was at, and that is all minuted on the 6th of March. And that is a fact, and that is on the record, and there is no question. This UK government have published that. On the 6th of March was the official request. And I would say, on the deposit return scheme, the Scottish Government proceeded with a scheme that has small businesses, consumers and others are very concerned about. Even the Chief Executive of Tesco yesterday, the UK's largest retailer, has said it's not the right scheme, not fit for purpose. They're concerned about it. They're right to be concerned about it. And the Scottish Government have asked for their UKIM exemption after they've put their scheme together. If I was building a house, I'd get planning permission, then I'd build my house, not do it the other way around.
Drew Hendry.
Thank you. The Secretary of State knows that the process for gaining an exemption to the Internal Market Act is through developing the appropriate common framework. He also stated that there had been no request by letter from the Scottish Government, yet the Deputy First Minister wrote to the UK Government on the 31st of January and even received a positive reply from his Government on the 10th of February. So is the problem here that the Secretary of State just has a very selective memory, or is it the fact that he's so busy preparing for his seat in the House of Lords that his office don't even bother keeping him in the loop anymore?
Secretary of State.
Madam Deputy Speaker, let's be absolutely clear about this. The letter that the Honourable Gentleman refers to was a letter to the Chancellor about VAT treatment of the deposit return scheme. He mentioned that an exemption request would be coming forward in the letter, but the official request was made on the 6th of March. There is no question about that, and the detailed arguments were laid out on the 6th of March at the ministerial meeting.
Chris Law.
Thank you. It's not gone too well for the Secretary of State, is it? Madam Deputy Speaker, environmental charities across these islands have written to the Secretary of State calling for him not to block the Scottish Deposit Return Scheme. Now, as we know, there are successful schemes across many other countries, and the British Soft Drinks Association, whose members include Coca-Cola, and the Iron Brew maker AG Bar, call for it to go ahead as planned. So what on earth is the future Baron von Jack thinking of when he's ignoring these calls and threatening to block the scheme, particularly when his own government and other UK nations will follow Scotland's lead and introduce their own scheme from 2025?
Secretary of State.
Well, I'm not sure there's been much joined-up thinking on the questions here, because this is, again, you're going to hear the deposit return scheme. I have suggested it should be paused. I think a UK-wide solution is right. I think recycling is absolutely right. But I agree with the Chief Executive of Tesco, Britain's largest retailer, when he says this is not the right scheme. It will be inflationary. I have at this dispatch box before said 12 bottles of water, in Scottish water in Aldi, currently cost £1.59. Under this scheme, they will go to £3.99, or even higher if there's a price put on top by the consumer. So £2.40 of that could be reclaimed, but the consumer will also pay a extra cost that is put on the producer. And the producer will be clear about that. And I spoke to Coca-Cola, we met with them. They said it would be 2p on a can, it would be 5p on a bottle passed on to the consumer that they couldn't reclaim, and higher figures from other companies, including one brewer. The last point, Madam Deputy Speaker, but one of those small brewers said to us it would be £1.40 they'd have to add to a bottle of beer, plus the 20p. So it's very inflationary, it's very bad for the consumer's shopping basket, and that is why I think we need to pause and get a scheme that works for the whole United Kingdom.